Hi everybody, I'm Ryan. Today we're going to talk about how to sideboard with 4-color Omnath in Modern against the top 10 most popular decks in Modern. Now, if you want to learn about the deck and the card choices and all of that stuff, I posted a deck tech yesterday that you definitely should check out. But otherwise, let's jump right into it. First off, I wanted to talk about the role of each sideboard card, because this is a mid-range deck. We are trying to take out the bad cards in the matchup, to bring in the good cards in the matchup. It's really simple like that. It's not like a combo deck or aggro deck or control deck that it's really important that we move forward with our plan, because our plan is just doing good mid-range stuff. Hallowed Moonlight is for uses like the Cascade decks and creativity and any possible reanimator strategies. Elesh Norn's very good against any deck that relies on enter the battlefield abilities. Veil of Summer very good against scam and counter spells. Endurance for graveyard strategies. Force of Vigor for artifacts and enchantments. Dovin's Veto for mostly combos that we can interrupt with Dovin's Veto, but also his ability to fight the counter war. Boseiju, very good in the same matchups that Force of Vigor is good against, but also very good against lands that we want to destroy, like Tron lands. And Chalice the Void is mostly being played for Cascade decks so that we can counter the card that they are cascading into. Now, let's talk about how to sideboard. The most popular deck in Modern is Rakdos Evoke, /scam, /midrange. It's called a lot of different things. Against this deck, we love Veil of Summer. It means they can't scam us. We love Elesh Norn. It turns off Grief, Fury, and Orcish Bowmaster and Seasoned Pyromancer. Like, it's so good. I'm not bringing in Endurance because Endurance is only good when they're scamming us, and I think we just have to be ready for the mid-range plan. Like, if we have an easy way to not be scammed like Veil of Summer, that's great. Or like multiple removal spells. I'm not interested in like just stopping the scam, and I feel the same about Hallowed Moonlight. That being said, our job is to remove their creatures and then just play our mid-range plan, and I actually like shaving some Delighted Halfling. We're not worried about counter magic, and frankly, we need all of our cards to be like really doing something and be good top decks, especially for after we get scammed. So this is how I sideboard against Red Black Scam. The second most popular deck in Modern is the Mirror Match. It is 4/5 color Omnath. Against this deck, we were bringing in Elesh Norn because so many things enter the battlefield, and if we have our things trigger twice, theirs don't trigger, we kind of just win. Bring in Dovin's Veto because if they do not have Delighted Halfling, we can counter a lot of the relevant cards in our opponent's deck, and at worst, counter a Leyline Binding or something. We are going to be cutting Lightning Bolt because really the best thing Lightning Bolt is killing the Planeswalkers, or Nissa, or like the Few Fury. I'm not super into that. And then we're going to shave on Delighted Halfling because, again, similar to the Rakdos midrange matchup, while ramp is really important, it's more important to be able to have really good top decks and have every card in our deck be good. So this is how we sideboard the Mirror Match. The third most popular deck in Modern is Living End. Against Living End, obviously, we're bringing in Hallowed Moonlight. If we cast Hallowed Moonlight in the face of Living End, we kind of just win the game. We're bringing in Veil of Summer to be able to stop Grief and Force of Negation. We're bringing in Endurance to be able to exile that graveyard, and of course Dovin's Veto to be able to interrupt the Cascade, and Chalice of the Void to interrupt the Cascade. We just played on 0, and then they can't necessarily Cascade. And we're going to be bringing out a lot of removal, because removal is just solidly not good in this matchup. Unfortunately, we have to keep in some amount, which is actually totally fine if they end up going for like the fair plan or whatever. So this is how I sideboard against Living End. The fourth most popular deck is Mono Green Tron. Against Tron, we are bringing in Force of Vigor for the scary artifacts that Karn the Great Creator can grab. Bringing in Dovin's Veto for some of their payoffs, but also some of their land selection or whatever, like Ancient Stirrings and stuff like that are all totally fine to counter, especially if we can get out ahead of it. And then we are bringing in Boseiju to interrupt the Tron lands. We're going to bring out some cards that don't actually do anything. Fury, kind of medium. It can finish off a Planeswalker, but that's as good as it's getting, so we're going to shave on Fury. Similar reason for Lightning Bolt. There's an argument for Lightning Bolt because like a Karn minus leaves them at 3, and then you can finish off the Karn, but I don't think I'm into that. You're gonna take out Elesh Norn because it doesn't really neuter our opponent's deck, and like I don't really want a card that has to combo with something else against a deck like Karn. And then we're shaving to Teferi. Teferi doesn't really do anything in the matchup as well, besides be card advantage. You know, being able to remove some important creatures is fine, but I'm not into it. This is how I sideboard against Tron. The fifth most popular deck in Modern at the moment is Burn. Against Burn, we are bringing in Dovin's Veto, and we are bringing in Chalice of the Void. Chalice of the Void to Chalice for 1, because it stops most of the burn spells. And we're bringing out cards that don't do anything. Bringing out the Elesh Norn, which we're not super worried about keeping in. And I actually do not like Wrenn and 6. We need to hit our lands, sure, but we're not planning on playing the long game with Burn, and it doesn't kill anything against Burn. And we want things to kill stuff and do stuff and be really, really good. So this is how we're going to sideboard against Burn. One Ring, by the way, is actually like pretty powerful because of the fog against their creatures, and it forces them to have instant speed burn, which can be kind of awkward and can draw us into relevant things. But this is how I sideboard against burn. The 6th most popular deck in Modern is Creativity. Against Creativity, we bring in Howled Moonlight because it interrupts it, Elesh Norn because it makes the Archons not trigger when they enter the battlefield, Veil of Summer to be able to stop the Archons from hitting us and also stops their counter magic, and Dovin's Veto to kind of just like end it and stop them from doing their thing. We're going to be bringing out a lot of removal against Creativity because removing the creatures is just not where you want to be in this matchup, but we are going to be forced to keep in some amount. So this is how I sideboard against Creativity. The 7th most popular deck is Yawgmoth. Against Yawgmoth, Howled Moonlight is pretty good because it stops Court of Calling, Eldritch Evolution. Sometimes you want to do it against Undying triggers, things like that. And that's all I really care for bringing in against Yawgmoth. We're going to shave an Elesh Norn because it doesn't really do anything against them. There's not a lot of enter the battlefield abilities that we super duper care about. And Teferi can get kind of slow sometimes, especially since they can go so wide. It doesn't really interact with the board very well. And we don't really care about them going instant speed. So this is how I sideboard against Yawgmoth. Murktide is the 8th most popular deck. Against Murktide, we're bringing in Veil of Summer to stop their counter magic, Dovin's Veto to stop their counter magic. There's an argument for Endurance to stop like Murktide Regent and Dragon's Rage Channeler, but I think we have enough answers to them in the main deck. That being said, there's not a lot of enter the battlefield abilities from our opponent, so I don't really care for Elesh Norn, even though it does help us a little bit. Meh. I actually like Shaven on Fury because it only kills Dragon Rage Channeler and Ragavan, which we have plenty of things to be able to kill that with, and 2-for-1s ourselves, which I don't really want to be doing against this deck because they really want to play the long game mid-range play and counter our stuff and whatever. So this is how I sideboard against Murktide. The 9th most popular deck in Modern is Hammer Time. Against Hammer Time, it's kind of obvious. We're bringing in Force of Vigor and Boseiju, and that is it. And we're bringing out stuff that doesn't interact very well or is slow, like Nissa. Oh, whoops, I actually messed up a little bit. We're going to bring in Elesh Norn as well. Totally forgot we had the Elesh Norn on the sideboard. Elesh Norn very good because of like Sigarda's Aid, makes sure it doesn't trigger effects. You know, Pure Steel Paladin draws, affects like the living weapon stuff. It's just like interacts pretty well, and like being able to stop our opponent from doing stuff is very good. And because I want everything else in this deck, the removal is more important. We're actually going to shave on our ramp. So sideboard against Hammer Time. And the 10th most popular deck is Temur Rhinos. We're going to bring in Hallowed Moonlight against Rhinos because it stops the cascading, Veil of Summer to have the end-all be-all against their counter magic. We're going to be bringing in Dovin's Veto to stop their cascade, and we're going to bring in Chalice of the Void for 0 to stop their cascade. So similar to Living End, removal is not super duper good in this matchup. And so we're going to cut the Lightning Bolt. I am not a fan of Fury. We're going to shave the Elesh Norn. I think we have to keep the Solitude in. So we're going to be cutting a few of the prismatic endings. So this is how I sideboard against Temur Rhinos. So there you have how to sideboard against the top 10 most popular decks in Modern with 4-color Omnath, which again is one of the new hotnesses from Lord of the Rings. If you like this video, have any comments, please leave them down below, like and subscribe, do all that stuff. Check me out on social medias, links are above me and in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.